You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Well, sorry for that little technical glitch where you saw the quizzical look on my face as I was trying to get the intro rolling, but welcome to tonight's show. It's Friday night, folks. Happy Friday night to you. Thanks for coming on board. Thanks for watching the show. All of those of you who are starting to gather over in the chat room and those who aren't in the chat room yet but are listening, good evening. There's my small child, Ellery, hovering in the background. Hey, Ellery, you might as well say hi because you're here. Say hi.
I came.
You came. Okay, bye.
Where's your phone?
My phone?
Yeah.
I told you I was starting radio, didn't I?
I need your
There you go. There it is. See you later. Have fun. All right. Once again, familial interruptions. Close my door on the way out. Radio airtime is not sacred here in my home. So I'm glad that all of you who are regular listeners are tuned into that fact. And if you're not, if you're new, if you're listening out there and you saw my child or heard my child, that happens from time to time around here because I have my studio in my home. And you're listening to my show, the Intrepid radio program, live here on the Odyssey Radio Network. That's ODYSY1.com. Come on over and see all the goodness that's Odyssey, and you can check out the schedule and see all the places and the times where this show plays. And also, for those of you joining me here, those of you who may not know it, when you're listening to this in archive, this is my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. And, of course, down below the window, you'll see the join button. And if you are not a member of the broadcast, a member of this channel on my YouTube, go ahead and click on that button, that little join button. It'll pop up right at the bottom of the show. There'll be a new little screen. It'll tell you 3 different ways you can join this channel and the perks that you'll get. So I want to thank you for coming in. Thank you for becoming a member. And let's roll with some things tonight. I'm looking for some stuff. There it is. Things have been moved around on my desk. Much to my chagrin, my children sometimes come in here during the day and they move things around on me. And so, but I was here most of the day. I was working on some illustrations for a client today. And you know what? I might as well show you that. And it was very nice of my daughter, who was just in here, to start setting things like this and like this on top of my illustration sitting over here on the side desk. There's still not a concept of what happens to illustration work. Hey, Corin Browning, shalom to you as well. Johan Dancing Gypsy, good to see you. And, of course, Ryan Gale, I didn't say good evening to you. And Susie Q, you're over there. And people are starting to file in. But here, I'm just going to show this off. There is a guy I know on Facebook that asked me to do some illustration work and some design work for a pirate board game that he's putting together. And this was my concept for the cover illustration. Now, it's not totally finished. The hand painting is done. Now I'll scan this, bring it in digitally, but I thought I'd just show that off to you. Here is the concept painting for the cover of this pirate game. And the logo will be emblazoned down across here. And I'll be doing some digital work on this that enhances the colors and enhances some of the things on there. But I just finished the hand illustration part of this, and it's sitting here on my sideboard, and my child came in looking for my phone and, of course, set stuff down on top of the illustration. They don't have that concept yet. You know, the worst thing that happened once, I was working on illustrations for a book, and I had 3 or 4 of them laid out on a drawing table. And the cat had cut its foot. And during the night, the cat had jumped up on my drawing table and walked all over my illustrations, leaving bloody footprints in places. I was beside myself in the morning when I found that, because that's finished work. An illustration like this, this takes me maybe, there's probably about 8 to 10 hours in that. And so when you figure there's 3, 4 of them laying there on the desk, and the cat walks all over them. So I was able to clean some of it up. I treated it almost like trying to correct watercolor. If there's something on a watercolor illustration, I can take a brush and I get it wet, and I paint at that spot of paint, and get it really wet. Then I can dry off the brush, and you can kind of seep up the color. Well, it worked for some of it, some of the blood-stained footprints. The others, I just worked them into the illustration. I blended them into the colors. So it survived without much to do. Hey, Morgan Snow, good to see you. You're on the road tonight. Glad that you're here. I don't know if you'll be able to listen while you're on the road, but it's good to see you here. And I'm glad people are making it in tonight for a Friday evening. My wife is off. Rainey is off doing massage work tonight, and she'll be back probably while I'm still doing the show. She left here around 6 o'clock this evening, and it's now 9 o'clock. And so she had, I think, 3 hours worth of massage tonight that she was doing over at the Water Street Inn in Stillwater. And then she's got a bunch tomorrow morning. And so she'll be back tonight. She'll be tired from working. And then she's got to get up in the morning and do it again. And then she's got some tomorrow night as well. And then probably Sunday morning. She's already kind of warned me she might not be here for our Sunday morning show, but we'll see. And so I'm going to start the way we used to start a long time ago. We went through a lot of these. This Spark Courage, 50 Ways to Be Bold. And I like to take these because they challenge me to think extemporaneously or off the top of my head. And so what this is, it's a little, for those of you who haven't seen, it's a little faux matchbox with faux matchsticks, and each one has a little saying on it, something that you consider ways to be bold, ways to spark your courage. And I think we all need that nowadays, something where we can look and encourage ourselves to be bold in a different way. So I'm going to dig down into this box, and I'm going to pull one out, and hopefully it's new, or it's something we haven't covered before. That one, that's here we go. This says write an elevator pitch for something and practice it in front of a mirror. And now this is all about building your courage, building your boldness, being able to get out there, to speak to people, to be able to present yourself. I say to my young son, Flynn, now, yes, he's only 11. He went from being a very gregarious, funny, goofy kid with a great sense of humor to somebody who's a little withdrawn. He's a little quiet. He's gotten shy in speaking to people. He used to walk around a bit with he would hold his hands like this kind of, and he would walk around that way. And I was a little concerned that he was becoming withdrawn, and I couldn't quite figure. Rainey and I tried to work with him a little bit, find out what's going on, Flynn. Can I help you? And so the other day I took him to the gaming store, and this is all about writing an elevator pitch, or conceiving of one and practicing in front of a mirror. I wanted him to try to practice talking in front of people. And so we went to the game store, and he wanted to check up on a couple of cards that he had, and see if they were worth anything, and see if they had any more, and how to look into these things. And so we walked in, and the young lady behind the counter, we'd seen her there before, very nice person, and a little gaming store here in town. And so I said, Flynn, I said, my son's got a question he'd like to ask you. And I said, you ready to ask her, Flynn? And he kind of he got very quiet. He was kind of like, Dad, can you talk to her? I said, well, you can talk to her, son. You have the ability to talk to her. I said, just be confident. I said, roll your shoulders back, put out, and she's watching us, she's kind of smiling. And I said, roll your shoulders back. And I said, realize that she's just like you are. She's just a little older. And she's only in her early 20s, I think. But so I said, roll your shoulders back and present yourself. And say, hey, I'm Flynn. And she'd met him before. And I said, just tell her what you're thinking. And so he was able to kind of very quietly kind of smell, just kind of wondering about these cars. And I said, make eye contact. Let her see your eyes and pay attention to her. And so he was able to carry it through. And so I was encouraging him to try to build his confidence. One thing, writing an elevator pitch, that's all about coming. You know what an elevator pitch is? That's where you've got about a minute of captive time to pitch somebody. They call it an elevator pitch if you've never done it. In advertising, excuse me, dog hair. Don't ask me how I have dog hair in my mouth, but I do. Elevator pitch is when you are riding up to the whole idea is you've got as much time as you get in the elevator with this executive to pitch your idea until he gets out on his floor. And you've got to try to sell him on that idea because that's all the time you have. And the concept came from, what if you bump into this guy in the elevator and you go, I've got something I want to pitch to you. And for instance, some of you know, maybe many of you know, I was about 15 years ago. Well, it was before I met Rainey, so it was even longer ago than that. 2003, 2004, I was embroiled in a pet project. I wanted to build a full-scale replica of Shakespeare's Globe Theater. And somewhere here in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And I had talked to various people. There were some people that were looking at buying the Renaissance Festival that I was working with that might want to have incorporated it into that. But I had to work up my minute pitches. And it's like if I was to do an elevator pitch on that, I'd get in the elevator and I'd say, we got a lot of theaters in this town, but something we're missing, the original, what feels like the original theater for Shakespeare, the Globe Theater. Remember, he built the Globe Theater in 1599. I am in a project right now that wants to put together a full-scale replica of Shakespeare's 1599 Globe Theater here in the Twin Cities and make it a major draw and possibly even build a Renaissance festival around it. And so that would be and I'd love to have you see my pro formas and see my idea and my pitch, my official pitch. And sometimes you'd get that pitch and sometimes you wouldn't. And so, hey, field guy, good to see you. You're sleepy. Hey, Delaney, good to see you as well. And so that's an elevator pitch. So when you write an elevator pitch, come up with something and look in the mirror and see what your confidence level is like. Look in the mirror, look yourself in the eye and say, I've got an idea for you, and I want to present this idea. This is what I try to do with my son, and him just trying to kind of pitch his idea and ask his questions of the game store lady. And so this kind of thing can be used to build your courage. Come up with something, build your boldness up. There was a guy at the Renaissance Festival that's a good friend of mine. He was the creative director there. And a few years ago, he ran a company based on a business book he had written. Several books, I think he had written, on how being a top performer can really be aided by some of the people who were working at the Renaissance Festival, being on the street, doing theater, making your pitches, building your confidence, being able to talk in front of a crowd. The talking I do like this on the radio is sometimes built. I look back and it's really founded in the fact that years and years ago, I started entertaining on the street at the Renaissance Festival. Now, I'd been in theater before that, but when you have to go out on the street and you have a basic idea of what your character is and what your story is and what you want to entertain people with on the street, but you've always got to be open for when they throw that unexpected thing at you, and you've got to respond to that in character and in kind. And so being on the street, presenting yourself was a big facet to my being able to build up my confidence, being able to do an elevator pitch or being able to do a full-scale pitch or do a radio show or be on TV or whatever the things are that you might do. So there's your how to build a little self-courage today. Come up with a good idea. Take your best idea. Corin, what's your best idea? Johan, what's your best idea? What are the ideas you have? Susie Q, what's your ideas? Field guy, Delaney, what are these ideas we all have? Morgan, whoever's out there listening, what's your idea? Tell us in the chat room real quickly. Just a one-liner. How would you take that idea to build your confidence and your boldness, to be able to pitch it to somebody? What would you say to somebody? So that's the way. Yeah, there you go, Delaney. During my time homeless, I could get spare change without really asking. That's it. When I was down in Louisiana in the makeshift studio and I was working my job, reconstructing houses that had been damaged by the hurricanes, and I would go to somebody's door and I would say to them very quickly, I'd say, "Hey, I'm Scotty. I'm with Caleb Martin Construction. And I see you've got a blue tarp still on your roof 7 months after the storm." I said, "I'm just curious to know if anybody's come and tried to help you out here yet. If you're waiting in line, if you're fighting with your insurance company, let me know. I'd love to be able to see what we can do to help you out." That was my opening pitch at people's doors. And I would always look for something that I could find affinity with somebody. They might just say something in passing. I had an older woman. She's probably close to 80, and a small, plump grandma type. She was a widower or a widow. And she said something while we were talking, and she made a Star Trek reference. And but she didn't mention that it was a Star Trek reference. She just spit out a line while she was describing what was going on with her house. And I said, "Interesting." And I said, I recognize that line you just spit out. I said, that was from, and I don't remember what it was from, but it was something Kirk or Spock had said. And I said, "You must be a Trekkie." I said, "You're not a Trekker, because that's the next generation of Trekkies." I said, "You're an original Trekker, aren't you?" And she said, "Yeah." "How'd you know?" I said, "Well, I quoted the line." She goes, "Oh, yeah." And we got to talking, and then we came back to do the actual measuring and the bid on her house. And she said, "Before we get started," she brought out this big photo album about that thick, literally one of those with the big ring binders. "I got to show you this, all the Star Trek events I've been to over the years." And we spent an hour talking about Star Trek. And so it was pretty cool. We had a fun time with her. She had memorabilia all over her house, Star Trek stuff, collecting the plates and the towels and the whatevers, and pictures all over, and a vast library in her house of stuff. So that's the way I tried to find those kinds of bits of affinity with people so I could find the opening to talk to them. And did I see Steve? Hey, Steve, good to see you. Welcome to the show tonight. Steve, I saw your message. Sorry, I was unavailable when you called, even though early this morning, like 5 this morning, I wrote you and said, "Hey, I'm available all day, except for driving my kids to school." And then there were a couple of periods of the day where I was working on the illustration. My phone was in the other room, and I didn't hear calls come in. So sorry I missed you this morning. We'll connect over the weekend. How about that, Steve? And Morgan says, "I tell my adult kids it would be beneficial for them." Are you talking about this whole confidence building thing? Because I think when we're able to express ourselves well, when we use good language, words mean things, language means things. The way we express ourselves, the way we carry ourselves. If I went to a door like this and I try to talk, and I'm not going to get a lot of people to respond to me. But if I want to express an idea, you sit up, you hold your head high, you put your chest out, and you exude confidence. And even if the confidence isn't there, you know what? You make your own confidence. Say, these are people just like me. Like the old thing that people used to say, just imagine people sitting in the audience in their underwear. And I've never really done that. But I look at everybody and I know people. I know what people are like. And I'm like, you know what? These people aren't any different than me. Why should I be bashful or afraid to say the things I want to say? So there you go. Johan said, "Scotty just showed me the first sign." I don't know what I missed there, Johan. You said something earlier, but there you go. So that's enough of that. That's our confidence booster, our 50 ways to be bold from Matchstick Courage tonight. Put yourself together an elevator pitch for your best idea. and then pitch it to yourself in the mirror. But don't exceed 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Just let it be a quickie. And sometimes I'm so verbose, I talk so much that I just did a birthday greeting for my friend John Ward on video. His wife Maria, those are my archaeologist friends over in Egypt. And she wanted a bunch of us to put together a birthday greeting for him and our best memory. And I just sat down in front of the camera. And I said, the first thing that came to my mind, it took me 4 minutes to get it out, 4 minutes and 3 seconds total. But I said something like, the best of times, it was the worst of times. This is what Spock said to Captain Kirk on his 50th birthday, quoting A Tale of Two Cities. And then I said, 50 years old you're turning now. I said, certainly the worst of times. I said, we're coming to that place where we realize we're over the hill. I said, 50 might be the new 40. I said, but we're still 50. And I said, we're getting older. And I said, so, maybe can't do things as well as we used to, or as fast as we used to, or we're starting to feel our age. And I said, but the best of times, you've come out of that stale middle age of late adult childhood, and you've moved yourself into a position of knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom is when you have that ability to express what you know. And I said, you're 50, happy birthday. And I said, I'm supposed to give a good memory. And I listed off, just while I was sitting and talking, he says, what's the best memory I have of you? Is it, I don't know, when we first met and we're talking on video and I'm seeing the Theban mountains behind you from your rooftop gardens in Egypt, in Luxor? Was it coming to Egypt and spelunking tombs and shrines? Was it you and I in Egypt when we went up to the heart of the Great Pyramid of Khufu, and or Enoch, if you remember the series we did, and we were in the King's Chamber? I said, was it horseback riding together? Was it filming the History Trippers reel together and putting together a TV series? Was it ghost hunting, where you uttered the famous line, "Get me out of this fucking house"? And I listed all sorts of things. And I said, really, it's an amalgam of all of those. The best thing about you and me and my life with you, my best memory, is the memory of you being the best friend I have. And the fact that I love you more than I love any other man on the planet. And I said, so happy birthday. And these are the things you can sit and you do these things extemporaneously. Oops, sorry, I knocked my stool over. I only do talk about that to say there are these extemporaneous things we can do. How do you separate confidence from ego, Johan says. I don't think there is a difference. Confidence comes out of your ego. It comes out of the narcissism that we all have. And believe it or not, with all the crap we heard about narcissism over the last 4 years from people criticizing the president, narcissism, everybody's a narcissist. When you get up and look in the mirror and you comb your hair, that's narcissism. You're taking care of self. You're looking at your own image and making sure you're putting your best foot forward. Now, narcissism can also be a disease, so a mental disorder. That's when it becomes a problem. But I wouldn't separate the two. Ego is confidence. You have to build up your own ego. And sometimes, now, trust me, folks, I am filled with my own idiosyncrasies, my faults, my shortcomings, my lacks of confidence, my, what would you call it? My insecurities. If there's anybody who can spark my insecurities, is my wife. Whatever she says to me, something like, wow, you were really being a dick to that person. I'm like, no, I wasn't. Was I? I didn't mean to be. Those things, they make you look at yourself. It was like, do you remember the old, was it Johnny Hart who illustrated the BC comic strip in the newspapers? Remember BC, the prehistoric people? And he's the main character standing there. And of course, he's barefoot. He's got his little loincloth on, whatever. And the big, they called her Fat Broad in the series. So I'll refer to her as that. Fat Broad came by. She looked at his feet and she goes, wow, you sure have big, ugly feet. And then she walked off, and he looks down at his feet and a little smoke cloud over his head, and he frowns and walks away. And she says to the other cave woman, she goes, there, I have just instilled the first subtle seeds of insecurity in mankind. So, and that's the way it is sometimes. So sometimes, despite all my faults, all my idiosyncrasies, all my problems, all my shortcomings, I still work on ego. I have an ego that I need to build. That by building your ego, you build your confidence. And you can say, despite my faults, I am still this and this and this and this. And sometimes when I'm in an argument or a persuasive, remember, did you take speech class in high school? You always had to give the different speeches. The one was the speech to persuade. And the speech to persuade was to persuade somebody to come and see things your way in like 3 minutes. You had to give your little speech or your extended elevator pitch. And you take a topic and you do that. And so many times I do my own speeches to persuade. I might not even be fully convinced about everything I'm saying, but I let my confidence take over. My ego takes over and says, look, I'm presenting the best picture I can. And I'm going to do it as articulately as I can, and something that you can listen to and enjoy. Now, trust me, on this show, I present a lot of material on this show. And some of it, I'd say 99.9% of it, I'm in pretty much in agreement with. There's those glimmers of doubt on some things sometimes where I go, I don't know about this. But I use ego, I use confidence, I use whatever to talk through those points. So there you go, Johan. Long answer to your very short question. Yes, we were born for this. And Morgan, you take care. I'm sorry you can't stick around. You have a good weekend yourself. And so moving on from that, let's segue into something that, oh, and by the way, let me do this again. I'm going to paste the link here. Boom. If you want to call into the show tonight for any reason, just hit that link. You'll come up out in the wings of the show here. I'll see you and bring you in. And if you sit there for a while, and I haven't seen you for any reason, just type something over in the chat room in all caps. Hey, I'm over there in the wings waiting, and I'll bring you in. And it can be pertaining to the show. If you got something you want to add or something you want to say, or if it's off topic, I think that's okay. But you might have to wait if you're off topic. So I wanted to talk tonight about Eve. Eve, she was called Eve because she was the mother of all living. This is a Genesis, the book of Genesis, a Judeo-Christian, well, originally an Israelite or a Jewish concept. The first family, the first man, Adam, the first woman, Eve. And since we talked about them last week in regard to Cain and the other people, and Cain murdering his brother, and Eve and Adam, and how many people were there actually on the earth at the time, and all of that, I thought that this has been sitting up on my docket here for something I wanted to talk about for a few days now. And we were going to hit it last night, and then I had Mandy Moo on from Australia. And so let's hit this tonight. Eve, here's the big question. Did Eve fall, or was she pushed? That's a big question I want to ask. Did she fall, or was she pushed? And I'll tell you what I mean. I'm being a little flippant with the language there, because I want us to know, was she somebody who precipitated the fall? Was it Eve who did the dirty deed, or was it Adam? And so on. And so we're going to dig into that bit. But I see that Field Guy's in. I'm sure he's got something he wants to add to this from his theological base of knowledge. So let's call him in. Hey, Field Guy, how you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good.
All right, I'm going to turn you down. I don't have my headset on. I should plug that in so I don't get a lot of feedback. We'll give it a try. And if there's feedback, then I'll plug in. So what's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just sitting back, watching the show like usual.
All right.
All that good stuff. But Yeah, I don't really know too much about Adam and Eve, except I don't know. The always perception of that was that the snake told Eve, and then I guess Eve handed the apple to Adam or something
Yep.
like that. I think that's how it works. It might have been the other way around. Who really knows?
Oh, well, there's the big question. Was this, we always take this in theology and in church, it was always taken to be, well, it's a literal story. It's a story God told us, had it written down by Moses. So here's the big question. Is that really the beginnings of mankind, Adam and Eve? Or is it an allegorical story? Is it a mythology that's based loosely on fact? Was there a singular original family? The other question that we got into about Cain and the other people, were Adam and Eve just the creation of God in that region? There were other gods that had other peoples around the world. So there's all of that to consider when you start looking at it. And it's what it is. It's an age-old story, the Garden of Eden story, the fall of man, the entrance of sin into the world and a sin nature, all came because Eve took the fruit from the serpent, was beguiled by him, gave it to Adam, and Adam took it, and poof, mankind fell. And of course, then there's the whole issue about it being very possibly an allegorical tale of, if you will, celestial or extraterrestrial or alien, if you will, with getting the science fiction out of your mind, something not of this earth, interference in the bloodline or in the family tree, if you will, of humanity. It could be the introduction of sex to the creation, because all the terms seem to stand for that. So there it is. That's what the story's all about. So digging into it, it's going to be a little interesting. I want to see a little bit more about Eve here. There you go.
It may be. Well, I always say Bigfoot's an alien. Maybe Bigfoot did it.
Maybe.
I don't really know.
I look at Bigfoot. We were talking about the fairies and the fae a couple of weeks back. I was still in Louisiana, I think. It might have been 3 weeks ago. And I start to wonder if the reason we can't ever really find Bigfoot is because we can see physical manifestations of them, but perhaps they are part of the spirit being, this spirit cast of being, like the fairies, like the fae, like the elementals and things like that. And so they occupy a different dimensional realm. And so you can get glimmers of them. You see them. They're physical, corporeal beings, but they inhabit a different space. Spiritual beings, if you will. Are they part of that cast of elementals that was sent down to the earth according to Catholic theology? So that's what I kind of wonder about Bigfoot. Does he exist? I think he exists. Will we ever find one? I don't know. It all depends on if he's actually just a physical being, an animal. We don't know for sure. So
I think maybe it's dead when a Bigfoot dies, their body goes back into whatever dimension they came from.
That's what I think.
It has to be.
Or that's why I think they appear and suddenly somebody's looking at him and they turn around and he's gone.
Yeah,
is it because he has a big stride and he can just walk away faster, sink into the trees, or is it because it's like the opening and shutting of a door?
Yeah, he goes in and out, but it has to be because all this time, you think you would have found a carcass or bones or something all these years, and nothing's been found. All they can find is toenail clippings and poop, apparently.
Yep.
I mean, so I don't know.
Maybe we'll talk about that. We'll get a Bigfoot specialist on here and we'll talk about that. I'm going to jump back into this topic of Eve, though. So, Field Guy, thanks for calling in.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you, brother. All right, folks. Field Guy. So here we go. Johan, you just said, and then they were naked and felt ashamed. But why? All because she bit an apple and offered to share it with Adam? Can you see the veil they cast upon us? Yeah. See, that's the big thing. And I said this a few times. I had written about this in my own book. I had also talked about it, I think, just last week. It's amazing to me that Eve is beguiled by the serpent. She eats of the forbidden fruit and gives it to Adam. And then he eats of it and poof, they're naked. I think this is a clue to the encoded message that's there, that she was seduced by the serpent character. I think when she took the fruit, all these terms, the word, the took, the offering of, the seducing, the beguiling, all of these are sexual terms and for sexual behavior. And she saw that it was good, and she gave it to Adam, or brought Adam in on the mix. And sex was there. Boom, all of a sudden they realized they're naked, according to the story. So I think that's it. Never, Eva, take me laying a lyric to Sirius again, please. Thanks, Elderberry. I'm not quite sure what you were getting at there. I think I kind of do. Hey, Sean Bowden. Good to see you, brother. Glad you're in here. And David Castle from Newcastle. Good to see you. I don't know if anybody else has slipped in the meantime. But here, in getting back to Eve, in the 1500s, now I mentioned this a couple of nights ago when I was introducing the next night's topic, which we didn't go to last night because we had our guest last night. But in the 1500s, a witch hunting craze spread all through Europe. And there were hundreds of thousands of women who were accused of sorcery. They were tortured. They were executed. And the witch craze, as it was known, was spurred by the publication of a guide to identification and elimination of witches, written by a couple of guys for the church. And it was written for the Roman Catholic Church. And this influential manual was called the Malleus Maleficarum, or in not Latin, the Hammer Against the Witches. And it traced the roots of witchery back to the first woman. Witches came from Eve, they were saying. And it says from their book, for though the devil tempted Eve to sin, yet Eve seduced Adam. And as the sin of Eve would not have brought death to our soul and body unless the sin had afterwards passed on to Adam, to which he was tempted by Eve, not by the devil. Therefore, she is more bitter than death. So says the writers of the Malleus Maleficarum. And while the church was actively, at the time, condemning Eve as the seductive ancestress of all witches, artists too were depicting her as a temptress with a distinctly sexual appeal. All these old paintings you see from the era in the 1500s and the 1600s always showed her, you always saw naked, and she was appealing, big round firm breasts and things like that. And in Albrecht Dürer's 1504 engraving Adam and Eve, or the Fall of Man, a subtle smile kind of plays across Eve's face as she gently and willingly removes the fruit from the serpent's mouth and hands it to Adam. And standing beside her, Adam extends one hand toward Eve's genital area. And his fingers are bent into a Dürer contemporaries would have immediately recognized as a crude gesture, commonly referred to as a fig or a fico. And that was meant to represent female genitalia and denoted sexual intercourse. And in Michelangelo's fresco you can look some of these up online as we're doing this, Michelangelo's fresco, The Temptation and Expulsion, painted on the Sistine Chapel ceiling in 1510 and 11. Eve herself makes the same vulgar gesture as she points at herself. And you got to see Michelangelo's fresco, Temptation and Expulsion. I wonder, maybe I could call it up and I'll share this with you here. Let's see. See if we can find it. I know I can find it. Let's find the fresco where she's doing. Oh, this shows the entirety of the fresco, which makes it too involved to be able to see anything. Wait, this might be it right here. Oh, part of this is what I had used for the graphic for tonight's show. Let me just call that up. Hang on. Here it is. I'm going to blow this up, and then I'm going to share my screen so you can see this. And I've cut off certain portions of this picture, not because I had any problem with them, just to fit it into the graphic for tonight's show. Let me show you something here. Hang on. I'm going to share my screen with you. Share screen. Boom. Share. Now, look at this over here. Here is the graphic for tonight's show. And if I fit this on the screen a little better, here you can see Adam and Eve and the serpent. The character up in the tree on the far left actually has his legs turned into a coiling serpent going down around the bottom of the tree. And you can see here that Eve is taking, this is Michelangelo, by the way, she's taking the fruit from the hand of the serpent, and Adam is pointing to the fig leaf, which is supposed to be representative of female genitalia. And I thought it was very interesting the position that Michelangelo put her in here. You can see, and pardon this, we're all adults here. It looks like she's poised to perform a sexual oral act on Adam here as soon as she turns around with the fruit. And this is the way she was depicted. She was depicted to be, and of course, this is the woman, the way she would have been beguiling in the times of Michelangelo in 1510 and 1511. And so if we go back here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Let's go back to this here. And Johann says, the words of my grandmother, if there were no bad women in the world, there would be no bad men. Well, that might be so. I don't know. Maybe your grandma's right. Here's what happened in the 1500s is that Eve was turned into the one who was becoming the temptress. But why is Eve routinely portrayed as the evil temptress and the source of sin? In the book of Genesis, Eve isn't even the seductress. She wasn't the one doing the seducing. It was the serpent character. She doesn't deceive Adam. She doesn't coerce him into anything at all. All she does is hand him the fruit and go, hey, this is good. Try this. The word sin is never even applied to Eve. And it doesn't even appear in the creation story in the book of Genesis, the word sin. And further, in the Bible, the fall is not sexual in nature the way it's given to us or taught us in theology. So Eve's bad reputation comes not from the Hebrew Bible, but from extra-biblical texts known as the pseudepigrapha. We talked about that last week, the pseudepigrapha. And although seldom read today, these documents in the pseudepigrapha have a tremendous impact on how Eve and women in general have been viewed for the past 20 centuries by the church. What we were taught about Eve, whether in the New Testament, in Renaissance paintings, or in modern culture. And the story of creation of the first man and woman is told twice in the Bible. In Genesis 1, 26 through 28, God creates male and female at the same time and as equals. Did you notice that? The first time it's mentioned. And God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, master it, and rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and all the living things that creep on the earth. No gender roles are assigned to the man and the woman who received the same instructions. Be fruitful and multiply. Their sexual relations have no negative connotations. Rather, they're dictated by God. So, when he first created them, they were told to reproduce. So they had that ability, at least according to the mythological text. Now, a sexual relationship is similarly promoted in the second account of creation of man and woman. Genesis 2:24, the next chapter, dictates that man and woman should become one flesh. And here too, sexuality is not an evil, but a divine command. God says, hey, Go do it. Become one flesh. So as Bible scholar Phyllis Tribble noted, the first woman eats the fruit only after making a reasoned decision based on her conversation with the serpent. God knows, the serpent tells you. God knows. He knows what's going on here. And he also knows that as soon as you eat of the tree, says the serpent, that your eyes will be opened, and you'll be like the divine beings who know good and bad. That's Genesis 3:5. And after careful consideration of the serpent's words, what does Eve do? She plucks the fruit from the tree and shares it with Adam, who's been present throughout the whole conversation with the serpent. It says, when the woman saw that the tree was good for eating and a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was desirable as a source of wisdom, because this is what the serpent just told her, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave some to her husband, and he ate. Now, though God has explicitly prohibited Adam from eating of the tree, the first man does so freely without question or comment. Eve doesn't even need to convince him. So there it is. We guys, we do the things that please our women. She hands you the fruit. Adam knew he wasn't supposed to eat of the fruit, but Eve goes, hey, look, hey, this is good. Try some. Okay. Probably got transfixed by her boobs. Speaking of that, today I've got this sitting here. This is my my little blood pressure thing. That just a little home blood pressure thing that I put on. And I had an appointment, a video appointment with my cardiologist that I had set up way back when I was in Louisiana. And I only set it up as not a face-to-face because I didn't think I'd be here. But so I had this video conference with him. And he said, I want you to take your blood pressure for me now. And he heard me say that. And Rainey ran and got the blood pressure cup. And she came in, and I'm sitting right here at the desk, and she's standing right here in front of me, and she puts this thing on my wrist right here, and it starts reading. And I said, well, it's going up. And I said, and Rainey was standing right in front of me, and her boobs were right here. And I'm like, and I said to the doc, I said, I gotta close my eyes because Rainey's making my blood pressure go up. So maybe that was Adam's thing. Maybe Adam is standing there and Eve's got her plump breasts sticking out at him, and he's like, I'm a guy. Sure, I'll eat the fruit you hand me. Who knows? Yeah, maybe boobs have caused our downfall. Who knows what caused it? And I'm speculating. I'm trying to have a little fun with it. But you also think of human nature. So, however, this is not saying that Eve did anything to convince him to do anything wrong. She just handed him the fruit. But the pseudepigrapha, however, cast Eve in a very different light. Now, the term pseudepigrapha, we talked about this the other night, it refers to a group of Jewish writings that date from about the 2nd century BCE to the 2nd century AD, over that 400-year period. And that they didn't make it into the canonical Hebrew Bible. And so among the books are apocalypses, the histories, the psalters, and the wisdom texts that are falsely attributed to Adam, Moses, Enoch, Ezra, Jeremiah, Solomon, and other figures who in biblical terms lived long before the texts were composed. Thus, their designation is pseudepigrapha. They were false books, falsely inscribed. And it's saying, I've written this book, the Book of Adam, and yet Adam lived 2,000 years earlier, or whatever it was. And so the two pseudepigraphic texts dating from the 1st century AD recount the lives of the first couple, Adam and Eve, following their expulsion from the garden, and a Greek text known as the Apocalypse of Moses, and a Latin text called the Life of Adam and Eve, Vita Ade et Eve. Both texts share much material, including lengthy accounts of Adam's death, indicating that they derive from an ancient common tradition. I'd love to see those and love to read through those. So in the Greek Apocalypse of Moses, Adam, on his deathbed, asks Eve to tell her descendants about the fall. And that's being the fall of man. And listen, all my children and my children's children, says Adam, and I will tell you how our enemy deceived us. And then Eve begins her account, as Adam told her, of how the fall resulted from a sexual relationship between herself and the tempter. According to Eve, it all started when the devil approached the serpent and convinced him that Adam should be kicked out of paradise, just as they'd been thrown out of heaven. And so the devil said to the serpent, I hear that you're wiser than all the beasts, so I came to observe you. I found you greater than all the beasts, and they associated with you. But you are prostrated to the very least. Why do you eat of the weeds of Adam and not of the fruit of paradise? Rise, come and let us take him to be cast out of paradise through his wife, just as we were cast out through him. And with this speech, the devil convinces the serpent to use Eve to deceive Adam. That's very interesting. They were expelled. They didn't escape. No, they didn't escape, Johann. They sinned and God boots them out of the garden, according to the story. And so, but then God teaches them how to make clothes out of animal skins and teaches them how to grow crops and all of this stuff. And then he leaves them on their own. See ya. And so the serpent suspends himself from the garden wall and he waits for Eve, according to the pseudepigrapha account. Speaking through the mouth of the serpent, the devil initiates a cat and mouse game with Eve. You do well, the serpent devil tells Eve when she enters the garden, but you do not eat of every plant. Eve responds, yes, we eat from every plant except the one only, which is in the midst of paradise, concerning which God commanded us not to eat of it, else you should most surely die. I'm grieved over you, the serpent replied, that you are like animals. For I do not want you to be ignorant, but rise, come and eat, and observe the fruit of the tree. In the pseudepigraphic text, Eve backs off. I fear lest God be angry with me, just as he told us, but the serpent presses her. Fear not, for at the very time you eat, your eyes will be opened and you will be like gods, knowing good and evil. Thank you. Is Mom home?
No,
Okay.
I was just talking to Grandma.
You were talking to Mom?
No, Grandma.
Oh, okay. All right.
Come on, Lucy, get out. Lucy.
There's my children coming in. Ellery and the
Lucy,
dog.
Come here.
You can take her out. Okay, sorry again, folks, for that familial interlude, as I like to refer to them. So let's go back into this. Did Eve fall? I'm grieved over you, says the serpent. Fear not, for at the very time you eat of this fruit, your eyes are going to be opened, and you'll be like gods, knowing good and evil. But since God knew this, that you would be like him, he begrudged you and said, don't eat of it, but come to the plant, see its great glory. Now, partially convinced, Eve admits it's pleasing to consider with the eyes. Yet she remains frightened. The serpent urges her, come, I'll give it to you, follow me. And so as Eve follows the serpent to the tree, he turns to her and craftily says, I've changed my mind and I'll not allow you to eat. Swear to me that you're giving it also to your husband. Eve vows, by the throne of the Lord and the cherubim of the tree of life, to share the fruit with Adam. Now, this is all in the pseudepigraphic text. So as Eve recounts these events to her children years later, she notes that the serpent said these things, wishing in the end to entice and ruin me. Nevertheless, in the garden, Eve bent the branch toward the earth, took of the fruit, and ate. And when Eve's eyes were opened, she realizes she's naked, and she weeps, both because she is betrayed and because she has sworn an oath to give the fruit to Adam. Adam, Adam, where are you? She calls out. Rise, come to me, and I'll show you a great mystery. Eve later recalls, when Adam came, I opened my mouth, and the devil was speaking. And I began to admonish him, saying, come, my lord Adam, Listen to me and eat of the fruit of the tree of which God told us not to eat from it, and you shall be as God. Do not fear, for as soon as you eat, you shall know good and evil. And Eve admits that she quickly persuaded him. So as soon as he eats, Adam cries out, "Oh, evil woman! Why have you wrought destruction among us?" So after the fall, God admonishes the couple. Eve doesn't mention that she's been deceived, but instead cries out for mercy, promising that she will no more turn to the sin of the flesh. This is all in the Apocalypse of Moses in the pseudepigrapha. And so the Genesis story has been greatly altered in the pseudepigraphic text. In the Apocalypse of Moses, Eve doesn't make a rational decision based on careful consideration of the serpent's words. Rather, the serpent clearly deceives Eve. Further, Adam isn't present during the serpent's conversation with Eve, and he doesn't eat freely from the tree. He's beguiled or lied to by Eve, who wittingly betrays him. And the devil, never mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, has been introduced to the story. Did you know the devil, Lucifer, Satan, never, ever appears in the Genesis text? It's attributed to him 1,000 years later, literally. And so the devil's serpent claims he's using Eve to deceive Adam. His motive is revenge for having himself been thrown out of heaven. So finally, the fall has become a sin, and the sin is sexual. Eve describes eating the fruit as a sin of the flesh. And some of these evangelical theological seminary, it was Phyllis Bird of Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary noted, although sexuality is a social endowment essential to community and to personal fulfillment, it could also be subject to perversion and abuse. And the pseudepigraphical literature clearly played into the motif of perversion and abuse. So, yeah, this is all if the story's true, says Susie Q. Johan said, but wasn't Adam and Eve already given all they needed to eat, except for the forbidden fruit? Yeah, according to the story they were, but it was the serpent character, Nakash, in the Genesis account, that beguiled Eve. I think it was a sexual sin. So, hey, Rainey.
Hey, Scotty.
Come over here. She just came in and belched. Come on over.
Coming over.
Come over and say hi.
Hi.
There she is. She made it back. Oh, sorry. I bumped right into those beguiling things. We were talking about your boobs.
Were we?
tonight.
Yay.
I was talking about Eve and how she got Adam to do whatever she wanted by handing him the fruit, and we were going through the old mythology.
Who had the chocolate snack today? Not me.
Who had the chocolate snack today? And so she beguiles him, and she hands him the fruit, and he's like, and he just takes it and eats it, even though he knows he's not supposed to. And I said, it's probably like my wife today when I was having my blood pressure taken. And I said, I got to close my eyes. You're raising my blood pressure, because her boobs were like right there. See, they're right there, and you can't see it because it's all black.
They're black.
But this is what, and I said that's what Adam probably had to experience. So how'd your massages?
Did he even care? Because they didn't wear clothes.
I don't think he cared. Well, it said they didn't know they were naked. So
yeah. So why would he even notice boobs?
I don't know.
I had one massage. It went well.
Good. Oh,
I went
you didn't have
shopping.
the 3?
No, tomorrow's 3.
Oh, tomorrow's the 3. Okay. What'd you buy?
A lot of junk food, chips and salsa. Chips.
Were you hungry?
Yes, chips, chips and chip dip, potato chips and dip, corn chips and salsa.
Yeah.
There's dark chocolate with coconut and macadamia nuts.
Did you get more of those
then,
blueberry chocolate things?
Yep.
Yes, I like those.
Dark chocolate covered.
It's gluten-free stuff.
Berries. And then I got dark chocolate with what are the green pumpkin seeds?
All right. Well, we'll have to try some of those.
Else.
I'm going to come out and junk food out with you in a few minutes.
Yeah. I left it all in the car because I'm taking it to my grandma's tomorrow.
Oh, well, bring the blueberry things in.
They're in.
All right.
Yeah.
So.
Mom, come out here now.
So now, do you have massages on Sunday morning?
I have massages Sunday morning.
So she won't be with us on Sunday morning, folks.
9 to 10:30.
9 to 10:30. She is
I'm
out.
gonna do your hair quick.
So, hey, you know what? We're still doing radio. So save it till Mom comes out. She'll be out in a minute.
I'm gonna do your hair, then you
Wait,
can come
wait
right
till
back
Mom
in.
comes out. Okay,
No.
let us talk. Let us talk for 2 minutes.
She needs mommy hugs. Here.
Okay,
Come here.
you give her
Here,
here,
honey.
here. Give her mommy
I need
hugs.
you to come out quickly.
No.
Please.
You can do my hair.
Please, mother. Please, come quickly, Mom.
Man, your light is like
it's bright.
shiny.
It really is.
Can you see the sweat on my face?
Here, I can reduce that a bit.
Yeah, I would.
So, folks, we won't get through the whole material tonight, I don't think, because I've let my wife beguile me with her fruit.
Whatever. Your show's only supposed to be an hour.
I know, it's been an hour.
Your minute passed. How did you not get through it all? I came in at 9:57.
Because I still have here, look at my material here.
9:57.
My material here. I'm right about here, and I got to go all the way down to there. So, yeah, that's another
Yeah.
show.
Women are evil. There you go.
Well, no, it's the whole thing that's talking about, did Eve fall or was Eve pushed? It's the way the church wrote her into becoming the temptress, and I think and of course you have to look at the story from the very beginning and say, is it a real story? Is it an allegory? Is it just a religious myth? From the get-go, you have to look at it that way. Yes, Rainey is the beguiler, Scott Allen. She beguiles me. So,
Oh, she messed with my hair.
yeah,
I got like a
I
weird
love your hair.
80 things going on.
80 things going on?
80s, the like poofy. I don't
Oh,
know. Was that
your-
the 80s?
your Farrah
when it was
Fawcett
all,
hair?
like poofed out. I don't
Yeah, your
know.
Farrah Fawcett hair. So, folks, here we've had lots of familial interludes tonight in the show. You know what I'm going to do, because it's already after 10. I don't want to be disappointing to anybody. My small child is still hauling her own chair in here now, so she can be part of
She
this.
wants to do mommy's hair.
She wants to do mommy's hair. So does daddy. So we'll let her do mommy's hair. And look, she's got her whole nursing gear on too here.
Not nursing gear. It's
Oh, that's not. Oh, that's
exercise
just a
shirts.
t-shirt. I thought it was your. What do they call those? Scrubs.
Not my scrubs.
Your scrubs. For doing. So, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna leave off with this tonight, and we're gonna pick it up tomorrow night. Johan says, "Rainey, I love your hair.
Thank you.
I love your hair too."
Me too.
So,
It's supposed to start coming in thicker again now that I've had iron infusion.
yeah, all the iron. I wonder if I get an iron infusions, if my hair will grow back
Maybe.
thicker. Hey, Ellie, go turn on the overhead light, would you?
No.
Yeah, you're closest. I
Yeah.
can't get out of here because you're in the way.
Please?
No.
I'll give you $1.
Give me my dollar.
I don't have $1 on me. I gotta go get my wallet. Go
Yeah,
turn the light on.
Just go turn on the overhead light. So we're gonna end with just like we're doing a Sunday morning show, but that enhances my wife's hair a little better. That's why I had it turned on.
Your lights are so bright. I need to be like.
They
back
are
there.
bright. Here, you know what? You can stand up even.
No, because she's gonna come and brush my hair.
Oh, okay. So there you go, folks. That's our show for tonight. And can I have $1, says Field Guy?
She brought me my wallet.
You'd have to brush her hair, Field Guy. So I want to thank you all for being here. And that was kind of a hey, Michelle Cannon-Free. I didn't see you sneak into the room. And Scott Allen, of course, I didn't see you either right away. And Mary Wins, good to see you. And so all of you, thank you for being here. I'm going to cut this short and we're going to pick it up on Monday. We'll pick up on Eve again. And be here on Sunday morning. We'll do something on Sunday morning. Maybe I'll find a surrogate wife to join me on Sunday. Maybe we'll get Sarah or somebody in here. We'll see what's going on. And while Rainey's off doing massages. And so you guys have a good Saturday. You have a good Sunday. And, well, I'll see you Sunday morning.
Have a nice weekend.
Have a good weekend. Yeah. And you too.
I will.
All right. All right, guys. Live long and prosper. And we will see you again soon. Bye.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.